Okay, so I'm gonna have my faculty listen to your responses, and then they're gonna take a vote, the three of them, and let me know which group wins 1,000 rupees, right? So which group is ready to start? We have votes, 2.5 minutes to talk to us. We're not about 3 minutes, okay? Look at the question and give us a response. So which group is ready? What we have to see, because sample discussion is over. We'll be done with people online very shortly. So. Is that ready? Okay, this one's very okay. Everybody listening.
When many nations work towards there is a solution for cyber attacks, share the technology that they have developed. So they can communicate about cyber attacks. Chat.
Hello. So when many nations work towards developing solution for cyber attacks, they can share the technology they have in their country, and they can communicate about the cyber attack incidents that happened there, and so that other countries are made aware about it. So I think that's why it's important for nations to cooperate in addressing cyber risk.
Possibly the group back there. Thank you so much.
So without our knowledge, data will be shared from one country to another country. For example, in military and many of them are working. When they share data, without their knowledge, data will be shared. There are so many possible risks. So many countries have to cooperate, discussion their ideas and information to improve their cybersecurity attacks.
Thank you. Good table.
So I would like to talk about opportunities for synergy. So like how do they collaborate? So if we have any problems like the public sector and private sector, so they collaborate and then they come to a discussions. So first we need to build a confidence in that. So if any cybersecurity problems arise, they like they have some things to discuss and the way to solve the cybersecurity. So they can collaborate with other foreign countries and together they can build a good solution for it. That's all about opportunities.
Opportunities will be like increase in revenue and customer satisfaction and more develop in the marketing strategy for each ideas. Every nations will be sharing the intelligence, so there'll be a lot of opportunities too.
Opportunities for synergy in sense we are not restricted to that particular geospatial area. The resources we get in our country is different from other country, so we can also share that, and we can also learn from many other countries. And if at any threats or cyber security issues arises, if we can't solve it with the collaboration of other nations and with the other resources, the intelligence of other countries and people, so we can also enjoy the resources from their part too. So actually gaining knowledge without any cultural or geospatial barrier in our country.
So our topic is about barrier to global cooperation. So I think about the communication between other countries, among the countries, which is maybe complicated, and the network between them may make them a hindrance. So that may be a reason for them to have a global barrier between among countries. We talked about what being the barrier to global cooperation is. The conflicts among many countries currently, and different countries have different practices. They don't want to collaborate with other countries. And thirdly, some countries don't want to, like, for example, China is not using uh, Instagram and other country products. They're using their own social media. So that might be the hindrance or complicating cybersecurity threats. That's it.
Thank you, Pete, for your responses. So, all these questions are really happening right now. Okay, when we talk about cybersecurity. So, sharing of information or resources with the other country, as she mentioned, some countries are restricting. So, I like the point on that theme as well. And also, I like the Sana and theme on the they discuss. So, I
you bring a lot to the table, and don't forget. This is a very simple exercise. Conversation is very, very important. Quite often, companies don't do well because employees are afraid to talk. They have the answer, they have the solution, but the boss will listen to them. Well, this one here will listen to you if you don't share your ideas. And one of the things we did at our companies is we try to value everybody for what they bring on the table. For example, my wife and I are born on the same day, just 2 years apart. August 30th, it's our birthday. And when you've got other employees and they all bring you gifts, you cannot guess. Not fun for a while, right? So a couple of years ago, we came with this thing to all our employees. We go, on our birthday, you get to get a day off. So decide what you want to do with that day. You don't have to take it on the 30th. You can take a day earlier, but that day is from us to you. Learning to give back. One of the things we forget as employers is I started a company, so I'm the smartest person. That's a lie. People that make money for you are the people that work. And as an employer, as an entrepreneur, once you discover that your source of wealth does not come from you, but the people that work for you, you learn to empower them. You learn to make them feel important. Look at the young people, your age group, 20, you're gonna get 24. All of a sudden, your mom and dad, the grandparents say, hey, when are you gonna have kids? Right? I see this a lot with my Chinese students. At 24, their parents think they're too old because they don't know. But here's the interesting thing. When I've got young employees in the company, they get married, 2 or 3 years, they want to have kids. And they go, boss, I'm gonna come back to work. They go, yes, you are. I go, no problem, it's your job. In Canada, max leave is 1 year. So when you have a baby, you can stay home for a whole year on government pays because it's very important. And now mat leave is also important for dads too. So dad can take 6 months off, mom can take 6 months off. And they get paid. But usually, when a mom is home, in month 10, they get this call. So I said, when do you want to come back full time? I knew, because I've been there. I've been that dad. So I really turn to my team and go, hey, you had a baby, why don't you just share the job? You see, get full benefits. And you spend more time with your family. I do that as an entrepreneur because I value it. So this idea of they're just there to make you money, you gotta put it out the window. You've got to begin to look at people that work for you as assets, as equal partners that are making your company grow. So for me, I believe it's very, very important. So that's my encouragement to all of you, that your voice matters, who you are, what you bring to the table. It might be very little, but it's very, very important. Okay, secure.
We got a few attendees online,
Okay.
so maybe we can just engage them and just, if they have some questions or you want to just drop in a little content further to have them in.
Thank you. So I am going to, I think I'll start on this slide here. Let me see where I want to start. I know we don't have a lot of time left, so I am going to. So, joining us. Sorry. The people that are joining us online, we've been looking at the whole issue of cybersecurity within organizations, within the private and the public sector. And we've realized in our conversation that the government needs the private sector to be successful. As I said earlier, there was a time when, most economies were defined by big states, France in Paris, New York in the US, London in the UK, and Hong Kong. But that has completely changed because artificial intelligence, the whole technology world has transformed the issues when it comes to cybersecurity, when it comes to technology. We no longer have to run to New York or London or Paris. We have to look at southern India. We have to look at Kuala Lumpur. And we have to look at places like Johannesburg in South Africa. These places are defining how we deal with technology, how we deal with cybersecurity. There was a time when somebody sneezed in Tehran, nobody cared. But today, when Tehran sneezes, the entire Middle East catches a cold. And that's how powerful technology is affecting the global community today. Russia was considered as a superpower, very powerful nation. But look at the tiny little country of Ukraine. It's held its place for 2 years, fighting back. And Russia, with everything it has not been able to conquer them. True strength today comes from the resilience of people. People believing that they can be a solution. And solutions are no longer being found in powerful countries, but literally small places. Like I shared this morning, where a country will invest millions of dollars in ammunition, in technology, in bombs. But it takes a young person in China or in northern China to load his drone or her drone, that costs under $800, and it causes sheer destruction. The global war of terrorism today has changed. And that's why the government and the private sector, even public, have to work together to mitigate some of the issues that we are seeing. So when we talk about cybercrime and legal measures, My world was very much black and white. And to say my generation is still like that. Your generation is not like that. And that's one of the best hopes as we move forward and go. We have to leave the world better than we found it. But then I have hope with the Gen Z because I see you don't subscribe to the things that your grandparents, even your parents, you challenge your parents, you call them on things for their statements. I sometimes I volunteer in a school, elementary school. I'll go in, I'll tell the boys and girls stories. And one thing I find interesting, if I want to find out what's happening at home, I just sit, we sit and I tell stories and they tell me about home. So sometimes I'll turn to a 6-year-old and go, hey, how are you? How's your mom? How's your dad? And they look at me and goes, which dad? Because mom is on dad number 5. So in a society where children have grown up with in a serial monogamous relationship, there's a new guy every couple of months or every year. Some of you have grown up with the same dad, right? And the same mom. But when I leave, it's not like that. It's different. And so the challenges that we face, the challenges that you face are very different. The challenges in India, when it comes to family, are very different compared to the challenges that we face in North America. The value of being a girl is highly taken back at home. And sometimes I feel the value of being a girl in India is not taken highly. And that bothers me as a dad with a daughter. And I always wonder, my colleagues who are from India, who defines this for you? Who says it's okay for you to treat your daughter like an angel, but when she goes to the community, she's treated like crap? That's not right, is it? We as dads have to stand and say that is wrong. We have to apply the same values we apply at home into community. Where I don't see a difference between a boy and a girl. They are equal. So when my students finish grad school and they apply for a job, I want Anne to get paid the same as John. Not that John is getting paid more money because he's male. I refuse to accept a job where my colleague that holds the same degree is offered less money than I do. Because I think it's unfair. My generation will be quiet about it. Your generation doesn't sound right. You challenge the process. And this is the beauty when we talk about Gen Zs, you're very open to the world that is happening. Never stop talking. Never stop asking questions. And it will be a point where the government starts listening. Because the government can enact laws, so as a policy analyst, I'm very much aware. But these laws are useless if the people don't accept them. And we can no longer just accept things on face value anymore. Dosing and social engineering attacks. This is all on cybercrime and its effects. I'm going to jump on this. Hacking has been a very big thing. How many of you have experienced hacking at home or at the school ever experienced hacking? You get attacked by university quite often, and it always comes from North Korea. Sometimes the entire system will go down as well. North Korea. But it's becoming very common. That's when I ask you, how many of you change your passwords once a week? And you go, I'm 22. I haven't changed my password since I said, since I got my phone. Because your world doesn't live in this world. You trust so much. But I'll encourage you to begin to see the world a little bit different. See some of the challenges and don't put yourself at risk. Don't share very freely your identity. You always leave a signature behind. things that you're doing today, this is gonna be interesting because 300 years from now, there'll be some kids somewhere saying, oh, 2024, we were weird people. Because they're reading all your profiles and what you did and go, people live like this? They talked on these things? Just like when we think about back in 1400s, 1200s, 300 years from today, what will be people talking? Will this be an issue? Cybersecurity? Maybe not. Because the world is evolving very fast. What are going to be the issues for tomorrow? I think finally, at the end of the day, you can lose your friends, everything you have, but you can never lose your family. It doesn't matter how much you hate them, how much you don't like them. I can always be family. This is the only group that when everybody else walks away, she's my sister, she's my mom. I mean, it doesn't matter how far you go. So let me just remember that you get to lose everything, but what remains is family, and it's very important. Hacking and penetration testing, this is also the effects that are happening within banks, pushing the limits. And in Canada, some of the things we're experiencing that I see a lot with my students, most of my students will come to the university and they'll bring all their money. And they'll put them in GIC funds because then they can just take money out slowly as they're paying for their tuition fee. But it's dangerous because cyber criminals have discovered that. So they'll come and say, hey, why don't we invest $20,000 and it will double in a month or in 2 weeks. And so the student will take $20,000 of the GIC and put them into this company. For the first week, they made 3,000, 4,000, 6,000. And they feel, oh, I make a lot of money. And at month's end, the account is zero. And we've seen this happening a lot to our students, and some of them are very embarrassed to talk about it because it's a shame, right? And so now we're starting to ask the banks, these are criminals. Why do you still allow them to access your banks and take our international students for granted? Because as an international student, you don't know. Actually, trust why people can steal my money. Because your program, you've been taught, it's okay, it's safe. But I have students with thousands of dollars. And the banker said nothing. And it's high time that the government also steps in and starts holding banks accountable. Pay attention. Because when your grandparents, your family raise and give you $50,000 to come to Canada, and you lose it in 1 month because somebody lied to you, somebody's going to be held responsible. Very important. So, Indian banking case studies in India illustrate ethical hacking's effectiveness in revealing critical security flaws within banking systems. And India is ahead of this. Yeah. In Canada, we don't talk much about it, but here's a country, the most populous nation on earth, but it's working very hard to deal with this. Because the Indian economy, whether we like it or not, it's redefining the global community. In about a year, we know it's going to be one of the most wealthiest nations. Number 2, really. Because if China comes to the US tomorrow and China goes, give us back our money, the US will be a terrible country, right? Because the US has borrowed so much money from China. How much money is India borrowed? No. India believes in developing its own resources. And that's the difference between India and China, between India and the US, between India and Canada. The resiliency of looking within. And the stories of Mahatma Gandhi resonate through, years later, decades later, when the message is still alive, we must look within and become the best we can be for India to flourish. And it's becoming even more evident. If Mahatma Gandhi was able to walk his streets today, I think you'll be proud of where India is today. Why? Because the stories have resonated through the leadership. It's not a perfect, India is not a perfect country. But again, I can look at you and tell you, there's so much the West can teach you. But the West will never be able to teach you about family. The West will never be able to teach you about love. When it comes to love, we're bankrupt. We don't know how to do that. And that's when I turn to my 6-year-old in grade 2, and I go, tell me about your dad. He or she goes, who's that? Because we've got a sense of bankruptcy. And at that level, when as a family, we're not so much focused, it touches other areas of our lives. And things like cybersecurity are just kind of there because we don't pay attention to them. We're so much absorbed with other issues we're experiencing that we don't have the capacity to handle this. COVID was a classic example. When COVID happened, India has been through all of diseases, typhoid. You name all the diseases this country has experienced, it's a lot. So when COVID showed up on stage, I think COVID was just a super flu. Yes, a lot of people died. But we expected COVID to destroy Asia and Africa, but it did not. Because the human body in this nation was resilient. It had experienced a lot more tropical disease. It reached a point both in Canada and the US where 130,000 people were dying a day because we have never experienced that. And so when I say the global community has experienced a lot of changes, it's going through a lot of changes. I'm only ready, and I'm going to stop here by really saying, I need you to pay more attention to yourself. I need you to pay more attention to your surroundings. You can never just leave your phone every time I fly. I'm cognizant of who's accessing my data in my phone, who's accessing my bank card. So I try to use all the protections I can get, make sure someone's not scanning through their working capacity and getting all my data. And that's the world we live in. Somebody else wants to benefit from the hard work you've worked done for your parents. And I'm going to stop there because I know it's past 3 o'clock and we're supposed to end at 3. And I'll take a few questions. So, if online, sorry you came in a little bit late. Technology was the issue, but my colleague Cecile is going to create a session where I'll be able to do a session with you online on a different day. I'll be able to catch up. So what's in your mind? What are your takeaways from today? What did you hear me say? Any final words? Well, thank you for taking your time and listening to me and being involved in the discussion. That was great. I always, when I teach, my whole teaching is based on discussion. We do very little lecture at my university. Literally, you read at home, and then when you come, we do course, exactly what we done. And we just have a conversation. We move from lecture to conversation. And that's the feature of really where education is going to. And if you ask me the next 10 years, these walls will be gone. The future of education coming out of Yale, Harvard, MIT is changing. They know education is going to be taking place in the industry. We're not going to have students come to us, we're going to go to the students. Say, how do we make your automation or your department better? And then we're issuing degrees based on the workplace, not in the classroom. So if you ever get opportunity to be in any of our classes, you will see we do a lot of cohort based, and it's all discussion. In grad school, we don't have exams. We try to come up with solutions. So, for example, I've got 24 of my students traveling overseas in March. And for their major projects, they're going to a community and they're going to be doing a development and they're going to write about it. And that's their final paper, where they get to experience working in a community, teachers, nurses, business, and we've got about 3 communities we're going to be working in. So we want education to be relevant. We want everything you're learning, not just to be on paper, but what does it mean for me? How's it changing lives? How to make communication secure? That's the goal. So Daniel, thank you very much. You've been a good group to work with. And I look forward to seeing the new ones next time I come. Grads, all the best. But if you think you want to come to university, email. Grad school, you want to come to Trinity, would love to have you. I think there's a special rate for students from Stellar, so think about it. Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah.
So, thank you for giving us this wonderful introduction. Thank you, sir. It was truly great to listen to you. And we can take off for the day. Thank you.
I'll be sharing a sheet. Just need your give your personal name.
We will confirm the timings for the call. You will get the details through your class teacher. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.